War. An ancient city is on fire. Women warriors cut down the enemy as if they were ripe wheat in a field. Some fight back, but no one is a match for the fierce queen, Hippolyta, and her valorous Amazon warriors. As Hippolyta rages on, aiming to get to Ares, the god of war, a winged creature grabs her. Hippolyta escapes using her lasso and cuts off the head on the thing before confronting Ares. The two of them cross swords, and when Ares says that her resistance is futile, pointing also to their past relationship, Hippolyta attacks again, but Ares defends well and punches the queen away. Now is his turn to attack. In the meantime, two Amazon warriors, Artemis and Persephone, hack and slash the enemy troops, killing various creatures such as minotaurs and cyclopses. One of the warriors, a girl named Alexa, runs and hides from a horrible minotaur and starts reciting some philosopher quotes. Artemis comes and kills the minotaur, taking Alexa by the hand. The girl says that she is not a warrior, but Artemis orders her to fight, or at least die like an Amazon. She then pushes her into the fray, but Alexa is truly hopeless, as Persephone eloquently observes before kicking in the nuts one of her enemies. But then another one comes and mortally wounds Persephone. Thrax, the son of Ares and Hippolyta, writes his own tale of death in the battlefield. Ares, who has headlocked Hippolyta, shows her the carnage below. Hippolyta breaks free and rides a Pegasus with Ares hot on heels atop a winged monster. Hippolyta descends and beheads her son, Thrax, with Ares arriving shortly afterwards, only to kneel before dead Thrax. His wrath is terrible, but his spirit has been crushed. Hippolyta knocks him down and prepares to end his life as well. Suddenly, a ray of divine light shines on them, and Zeus, the king of the gods, demands that Hippolyta spares the life of Ares, his son. Hippolyta objects, saying that Ares has enslaved the Amazons for decades and has been ruthlessly killing them. She goes to kill Ares, but Zeus renders her weak. Soon enough, Hera, the queen of the gods, shines her light upon the two warriors. She says that Ares will be spared, but will not go unpunished, and will be Hippolyta's prisoner from now on. She casts two bands on his hands that will prevent him from drawing upon the psychic energies of war that give him his power. This means that Ares is now immortal, and the bands can only be removed by another god. In addition, Hera provides Hippolyta and her people with a beautiful island, shielded from the world of men. There, the Amazons, immortal and finally at peace, build a remarkable city. And one day, Hippolyta molds a baby from beach sand, and the goddess Hera gives it life, creating thus the firstborn on the island of Amazons. Years later, Diana, the baby now grown into a woman, practices with Artemis in stick fighting. Diana teases Artemis about not having defeated her once, and as they break sweat along with their sticks, Diana wins again. Hippolyta then comes and asks Diana her point in training, if their world is forever peaceful and calm. Hippolyta argues that they must remain vigilant, at which Alexa mentions something about the world of men. Diana kind of agrees with Alexa and thinks out loud, saying that the old world may have changed for the better after all these years. Hippolyta then takes Diana to see Ares in prison and remind her that all men are wicked, disloyal, and untrustworthy. In another sequence, 3 U.S. air fighters are pursued by 6 hostile ones. Hippolyta gazes through Hephaestus's magical mirror that helps keep the island invisible to outsiders. She touches it and the island appears for seconds before Artemis pulls the queen's hand away from the mirror. Meanwhile, in the skies above, the airfight has turned out nasty for the U.S. fighter pilots. The last pilot eliminates the threat before taking damage. He suddenly sees the mysterious island below him, and with no other choice, decides to land there. Diana, who has chosen to go horseback riding around the island, witnesses the strange aircraft and follows it. The pilot now goes exploring until he comes upon a group of women bathing in a pond. He smiles until Artemis and 3 Amazon warriors come at him armed with arrows and spears. The man runs away and the Amazons pursue him. Diana outruns her fellow warriors and gets to the man first. She tells him to surrender, but he doesn't know any better and flees again. Diana catches up and they fight. The man puts up a decent resistance until he is kicked in the soft area and is soon knocked out with an uppercut punch. When the man comes to, Artemis greets him with a slap in the face. Hippolyta cuts in and welcomes him to Themyscira. She puts the golden lasso of truth around his chest and asks him questions. The man's name is Steve Trevor. Hippolyta deems that Steve is not a threat to the Amazons and orders for him to be safely returned to his world. Diana offers to lead the expedition, but Hippolyta has a better idea, organizing a contest that will determine the emissary who will travel to the outside world. Diana objects, but Hippolyta sends her to guard Ares, on which she is shortly relieved by Alexa. Diana secretly participates now in the contest, throwing spears, riding a chariot, and sword fighting with other opponents. In the prison, however, an awful treason takes place. Persephone stabs Alexa and opens the door to Ares' cell, with whom she is in love. At the contest, Diana and other warriors compete now for the win. Archers throw arrows at them and they block the missiles with their bands. In the end, Diana wins and receives Hippolyta's blessing for the coming journey, along with gifts, a magnificent outfit, a pair of silver bands forged from shards of Zeus's shield, and the lasso of truth. Diana then takes off her helmet and shows her face. Hippolyta is surprised, but doesn't show it. She gives her royal tiara to her daughter and wishes her luck on her journey. Shortly afterwards, the queen and the other Amazons hear about Alexa's death, Persephone's betrayal, and Ares' escape. Diana puts on her costume and flies away with Steve. They reach New York inside their invisible aircraft and land on Central Park. Diana is amazed by the appearance of children and approaches a little girl who is crying because the boys won't let her play sword fighting with her. Diana teaches the girl how to use the stick and sends her to play with the boys, who run away from her. Steve offers to help Diana in tracking down Ares and takes her to his headquarters. Etta, a secretary, welcomes Steve back, and Diana demonstrates how strong she is. As they search for Ares, they come up with various violent incidents near Themyscira. While they are waiting for a pattern to show up that will pinpoint Ares' location, Steve takes Diana out for a drink. The two of them chat while drinking tequila shots, and although Steve tries to get Diana drunk, he gets drunk instead, and that enrages Diana. She storms out and heads to an alley, scolding Steve. 4 men attempt to rob them, but Diana dodges the bullets and teaches them a lesson. Steve goes to play the hero, but a terrible creature called Deimos tosses him away and fights with Diana, who receives quite a few hits before she retaliates with a dumpster. She punches Deimos into a fashion shop and cuts off a few of the snakes on his head. The fight then continues into a nearby shopping mall. Diana hits Deimos and manages to poke his eye with a shoe heel. She then traps him with the lasso and asks him about Ares' whereabouts. Deimos, however, is a loyal soldier and kills himself with a lethal snake bite. Steve retrieves a pendant with the symbol of Tartarus from what has remained of Deimos, and Diana deducts where Ares has gone. She and Steve fly there and come upon a group of armed men who are Ares' soldiers. They sneak inside the camp and take out the enemy soldiers one by one. They even save each other. Then more men come. Steve punches and kicks one, and Diana eliminates the rest. In the meantime, Ares and Persephone seek the help of Hades, the god of the dead. Ares plans to ask for Hades to take off the bands that keep him in a mortal state. But to open the gates of Tartarus, a sacrifice must be made. Diana stops Ares before he can kill one of his men, but fails to prevent the god from summoning a huge bat-like creature. Diana stuns the monster and attacks Ares once again. She goes to kill Ares, but the monster grabs her. Steve then takes a grenade and blows up the beast, saving Diana. But it is too late. Ares has already made the sacrifice. The gates open and Ares and Persephone enter Tartarus. Persephone, intimidated by the three-headed hound, Cerberus, stays behind, while Ares moves on ahead. Ares reaches Hades and asks him to take off his bands so that he can wage his war against humanity. Hades agrees and releases Ares, who grins maliciously. Steve takes an unconscious Diana to the hospital, and when she wakes up, he lashes out at him for letting Ares get to Tartarus. She slaps him and the two of them bicker about it. Steve admits he has feelings for her, but as he goes to kiss her, she slaps him again. In the meantime, Ares has gathered his troops and warms them up for the upcoming chaos with a heated speech. Soon, fighting erupts. Diana and Steve join the battle. Diana confronts Ares, but Persephone disarms her, and Ares prepares to chop off her head. An arrow stops him, and behold, the Amazons have arrived to assist. The two armies clash and Ares fights Diana. She punches him and sends him sky high, but Ares uses the psychic energy emitted from a destructive missile and grows bigger and stronger. Steve boards the airship and follows the missile that is bound to destroy Themyscira. Ares punches Diana around, exhibiting his newfound powers. He even summons dead Amazons to fight against their living sisters. The fight now seems utterly lost. Alexa is also back, and as she fights Artemis, she whispers something in a strange language, an ancient incantation for Artemis to use and break Ares' control over the dead Amazons. Artemis speaks the words and frees her dead sisters. With Alexa in the front, both living and dead Amazons charge now against Ares. The god of war, however, sends the dead Amazons to rest, and Artemis gets to say her goodbyes to Alexa. Diana grabs the opportunity and begins beating Ares with a series of punches, but Ares retaliates and kicks her away. He hurls a giant mass of lightning at Diana, who uses her silver bands to defend herself. Steve now chases the missile, and moments before it hits the island of Themyscira, he destroys it and saves the Amazon world. Persephone attacks her former sisters and fights with Hippolyta. The queen hears the warriors' complaints about not being able to have children before she kills her with her blade. Ares nearly pounds Diana to dirt. He throws her into the water and begins to call upon another mammoth lightning. Diana acts quickly, though, and uses her lasso, trapping the god in the pool before taking off his head with her sword. The Amazons rejoice, and Steve returns to kiss Diana. Ares now, together with his dead son Thrax, is Hades' servant in the underworld. Back in Themyscira, Hippolyta tells Diana that she can visit the world outside again and see Steve. As Diana and Steve go to enter a cab, an emergency demands Diana's presence. She puts on her colorful outfit, and a little girl shouts, "Look, it's Wonder Woman." Thrilling film comes to an end. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. I'll be back with another interesting movie recap. Until then, take care.